All right, everyone. Welcome to Last Takes MLB Awards Show. We're going to cover a few of the biggest awards from the 2020 MLB season. A little shorter this year, obviously, but still a lot of great moments, a lot of great players. So we're going to cover MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, the least valuable player, and some other cool awards. So, Nick, just to get started, I think in the AL for the MVP, I think we got to start with talking about Jose Abreu. I think he had an amazing season this year, especially for the White Sox, who weren't supposed to be as good.
Yeah, no, Jose Abreu was great this year. Definitely a mainstay in the middle of that lineup. I would say probably, even though in the American League, there's honestly, don't think it's a stretch to say there's probably 8 or 10 guys that could potentially receive votes for this award. When you're talking about Abreu, his teammate Tim Anderson, Voit and DJ are going to get votes in some capacity. Shane Bieber and Jose Ramirez, another pair of teammates that get votes. Trout and Rendon, guys that are going to get votes. So there's 8 guys right off the bat that are all, 4 sets of teammates that could all get votes. I agree with you. I think Abreu is probably the favorite right now. In my mind, though, I would have to lean with Jose Ramirez. I mean, you look at that Indians team, that lineup, it's pretty bare bones. They don't have a lot there. Lindor had a down year. So for Ramirez to put up the kind of production that he did when he was essentially the only hitter in that lineup that's feared, or at least for this 60-game season, only guy that was producing, I would have to give Jose Ramirez a nod as my MVP. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'd like Jose Abreu for the fact that I think he's someone new that's in this conversation. I think when you look back to 2017, you saw Jose Ramirez's name. Towards the back, Jose Ramirez was bad towards the beginning of the half last year, but he really came around. And I like seeing new names, especially at the top of the MVP race. Jose Abreu hasn't been in the league. I think this is his 6th or 7th year, so I feel like he was a old rookie. I think he was 27 when he came in.
Yeah, I think he's like 30.
He's like 32 now. Yeah, 32.
Right now. He's early 30s, yeah.
So, like, Jose Ramirez realistically has another chance to win one of these. I think Jose Abreu, especially with the way the rest of that team is looking, he's probably going to get overcrowded by someone like Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, all those other guys. So I think this is his last chance, someone who's been dominant but you don't really hear about that much. This is his last chance to win one. So just for that reason, I'm going to give him the vote. But I agree, Jose Ramirez had a better WAR, a lot better stats in general. But I really like Jose Abreu this year.
Yes, and that's the other thing, too. Some of those guys you mentioned, the White Sox had a great lineup this year with Anderson, Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Yomakata. There were other guys in that lineup to help him out, and not that should be held against him. I mean, obviously, if you're talking about an MVP award, your team is probably somewhat in contention unless you're Mike Trout. So, I'm not going to hold it against Abreu for the fact that he had a good lineup around him, but when you look at what Jose Ramirez did, which is just as good, if not better, with essentially nothing around him, I'm going to give him the nod.
Yeah. All right. Well, difference of opinion there, but both good candidates. Moving on to the NL, I personally got Freddie Freeman. I mean, I am a big Freddie Freeman guy. I think that he's very similar in the way that Russell Wilson is looked at in the NFL. I think Russell Wilson is more elite, you could say, but Freddie Freeman has been one of the best players in baseball since he came up. And I don't know, I can let me look up to see if he has an MVP vote. But, I mean, he's in that same category as Russell Wilson, where he's amazing and he just simply doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm actually in agreement with you. Freddie Freeman's my MVP as well. A guy had an OPS over 1,100. One of those guys that, like you said, has just been around for a long time. Braves team that, Ronald Acuna is probably their best player, I would say, or at least most exciting player. But Freddie Freeman really did wonders for that team this year, got them within a game of the World Series. The other 2 guys I had in mind for this award, Juan Soto really had an awesome year. The guy's an absolute stud, led the National League in OPS, so he would definitely be up there. And then another guy, obviously, Mookie Betts. Everyone knows how great he is. I don't need to tell you guys, you heard that on the World Series. They would gush over him every 5 minutes. Mookie, great too, but for me this year, I would just have to go with Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I just looked it up. He's the highest he ever finished in MVP voting was 4th. And I feel like he has definitely had some top 3 years. So I think you put a little respect on his name. Someone who I want to note that actually had a really good year, and I hate to say it, is Manny Machado. There's just something about that guy I just don't like.
He's
an MVP candidate. he's an MVP candidate, and I'm really upset about it because I like seeing him do poorly. I don't know why. I really like the Padres, but I don't like Manny Machado. I don't know. I don't know if it's because that whole AL East thing. Then he went to the Dodgers, like always kind of in that Yankees rivalry, but I just
Machado is on the hot seat because that video recirculated this week of him betting a Dodgers fan when he was in the on deck circle. He said, "I'll bet you my contract that we win a World Series before you guys do."
You've got 10 Octobers off now. 10 straight Octobers off. Come on, you could have had it all with LA.
It's my contract.
What?
We'll win a World Series before you guys do.
Well, I don't.
So I don't know. Hopefully he put a clause in that contract that it was in a 162 game season. Otherwise, he's going to be out at least.
Yeah, act cold taste exposed. Yeah, they got him.
Yep.
Moving on to the Cy Young Award. I think we pretty much locked in Freddie Freeman as our MVP. I mean, he deserves it. It's long overdue. For the AL Cy Young, I don't think really anyone has a chance other than Shane Bieber. I mean, he is the runaway. He was disgusting this year. I think he won the Triple Crown, right? The pitching.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, no, there's no reason to bring up anyone besides Shane Bieber in the American League. I couldn't even tell you who would be the runner-up. It doesn't matter. He did get lit up by the Yankees in that game one, but this is a regular season award. The only thing I'll say, and take it with a grain of salt, because Shane Bieber absolutely dominated. He didn't just win the Triple Crown. Like, he was dominant. He really didn't have any bad starts this year. So to see him pitch that way against the Yankees in the playoffs, I'll probably chalk it up to first playoff start jitters because I do believe that was his first playoff start. But it does make you wonder a little bit how these guys were affected by only playing within their division and the other opposing division, because you weren't really facing a ton of deep lineups in the Central. I mean, the White Sox were pretty good. The Twins weren't what they were last year. And then none of those NL Central lineups were particularly scary. So,
yeah, they were supposed to be
definitely benefited from facing only the Central this year. I'm not trying to hold that against him, but I'm just saying the way the Yankees beat down on him, it makes you wonder. But, I mean, there's no one within a mile of him, so that's not something that could – anyone who doesn't vote Shane Bieber for Cy Young, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was one moron MLB writer who didn't vote him just to be that guy and be able to write the column, why I didn't vote for him. Like,
it would be like the guy who didn't vote for Jeter. Yeah,
you
want to be that guy.
You have to do it. Don't be that guy. I'm pretty sure DeGrom got like 29 out of 30 votes for one of his Cy Young. So there's always that one asshole. But no, it's Shane Bieber. There's no debate.
It's Shane Bieber. You wish it was Garrett Cole, but he just didn't have. He didn't have it this year. He was good. He was dominant at times, but Shane Bieber was by far and away the runaway.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the NL. My pick is one of my favorite players in baseball, Trevor Bauer. I think that his year was electric. What was it? 11 starts, 73 innings pitched. He was 5-4 record, not great, but I wouldn't put that on him, and I would put that more on the Reds lineup. He had a 1.73 ERA, .79 WHIP, 100 Ks, and 17 walks. I mean, what more could you ask for? And coming into the year, you didn't even expect him to be the Reds' ace. You thought it was going to be Luis Castillo, or you thought it was going to be maybe even Sonny Gray. That name still gives me chills. But shout out to Trevor Bauer for having been traded last year, coming over. He pitched well towards the end of the year last year and come over, had a great year this year. So, I mean, I think he's my pick.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one. Just a couple other guys I want to mention. Jacob deGrom was great, definitely was in consideration for his third consecutive Cy Young. And Yu Darvish with a huge bounce back year, really looked like he was, living up to his contract finally for the Cubs. No, but I mean, it's Trevor Bauer. You mentioned the record. I think it doesn't matter. I think, for about a decade now, ever since Felix Hernandez won and then deGrom with the two that he's won, showed that win-loss doesn't really factor in much, if at all, to Cy Young voting anymore. But no, Bauer dominated all year, best pitcher in the National League. And not only that, but he shut down that Braves lineup in game one of the wild card series. And then we saw that Braves lineup do damage against good pitchers in the subsequent rounds. So he's a stud for sure. I'm happy for him that he did this right before his free agency because he's about to get the bag. There's no chance he actually signs a one-year deal now like he was saying he wanted to do a year ago. His agent already walked that back on Twitter. But no, Trevor Bauer is going to win the Cy Young Award, and it's well-deserved.
Yeah. I also want to mention, just because I said earlier that I really like seeing the Padres do well, Dinelson Lamet, 12 starts, 69 innings pitched, 3-1, 2.09 ERA, .86 WHIP, 93 Ks, 20 walks. So I mean that Padres team is set up for success in the near future. They got Chris Paddock too, so he had a big year too. So, but yeah, Trevor Bauer is the winner in my opinion. Yu Darvish, I guess, is the runner-up, but Trevor Bauer's got it.
Yep.
So moving on to the Rookie of the Year, we'll touch on this quickly. I think AL, Lewis or Robert. I mean, I don't know who else would be against Kyle Lewis. I like seeing someone being successful in Seattle, kind of like that Seahawks parallel. But I mean, Luis Robert also had a good year, but like you said before this, he kind of had a downswing towards the second half of the season.
I think Lewis will probably end up winning the award just because of how poor Robert was down the stretch. But Luis Robert, when you look at him, I don't know if his name is like Robert Robert, whatever it is.
I think it's Robert, yeah.
He's a human highlight reel. He hits monster home runs. He's electric in center field. So I think that he's going to be a great player for years to come. Kyle Lewis, I admittedly haven't seen as much of as I should because I don't watch Mariners games usually. So, unless the Yankees are playing them. But no, those two guys are both going to be studs, I think, moving forward. But I think Lewis will probably edge him out in the voting.
Yeah. Moving on to the NL, I think it's between I'll say my pick. I think it's Devin Williams. I think that changeup is you might hear about that changeup for the next like 20, 30 years. I mean, that's like Trevor Hoffman type stuff. I guess it parallels with the Brewers. But I think that people aren't giving him enough credit for the year that he had. He had a .33 ERA. This was his rookie year, and he shut down every batter he faced. I mean, he was absolutely dominant. So I think that even though he's a pitcher, especially a relief pitcher, I think that he should get the credit he deserves for being otherworldly dominant.
Yeah, no, Williams is definitely a stud. I think if the Brewers can figure out a little bit more pitching in front of him and Josh Hader, that could be a scary team for the next couple of years. I think it's going to be tough for a reliever to win this award in general. If there was going to be a year to do it, it would be this one. But I'm going to go against you and go with Jake Cronenworth. Guy played in 54 games for the Padres, like an exciting team. I think people had their eyes on the Padres all year. Plays a variety of positions. He hit really well. He's a promising young guy for them, and I think that he'll be in the mix for the award, if not win it.
Yeah. Moving on to my favorite award, the least valuable player. We'll start in the AL. Chris Davis. I mean, I think this should be titled the Chris Davis Award. $23 million owed before everything was prorated, so $8 million owed for this season. 6 hits. $8 million, 6 hits. He was not – I could be wrong on this, but I heard multiple times that he was not hurt. He was simply benched. So, I mean, what was actually going on, the Orioles are probably just like, we don't know what to do with this guy. He simply cannot hit a baseball anymore. So maybe they made up some, injuries and stuff like that. But he was benched. And I think they made that pretty clear. He had played in 16 of the 60 games. He had 6 hits. And he was paid $8 million, which in a normal season would have been $23 million. He was this year's least valuable player by far.
Yeah, Chris Davis is terrible. Like you said, I think once he retires, we'll officially name this the Chris Davis Award because his contract has just been a disaster. I mean, the guy was a beast in the early half of the 2010s, but
Rush Davis,
I've never seen a guy just lose it like him, just lose it. I remember hearing, I believe this was in 2019, there was a bar in Baltimore that would give everyone in the bar a free round of shots whenever Chris Davis got a hit. Like, that was how rare it was. They would literally give out free drinks to everyone in the bar whenever he just got a hit.
I read an article once that he was planning to retire in the middle of this massive contract that he has because he was so frustrated about how he doesn't know how to hit a baseball anymore. And his wife said to him, like, "Are you stupid? You are making $23 million to be horrible. Stay on the team." So yeah. I mean that's as low as it gets when you're getting paid to be horrible and you're just like, I can't do this anymore. So
the crazy thing is the Orioles were a pretty decent hitting team this year. I mean, for as bad as they were a year ago, they really had a lot of guys step up. I know, like, that was a team I saw the Yankees play a ton. They could hit the shit out of the baseball. It was just literally no thanks to Chris Davis.
I think that's a big reason why he didn't play a lot is because they saw they had a lot more young potential, and they're like, this it's just a sunk cost at this point. He is
Literally
not worth our time and
Exactly.
not worth taking that bats away from someone else. Moving on to the NL, this year's LVP in the NL, I believe, was Madison Bumgarner. We looked up his contract, $6 million, but the rest of his contract is really back-ended. So he had a minus .3 WAR, 1-4, 6.48 ERA, and he was supposed to be their ace. That could have propelled them to the postseason, and they were, pretty average to below average team all year. So, I mean, it's a lot of money, maybe not this year, but going forward, they put a big commitment to him, and he was just bad.
Yeah, and all the signs were there, to be honest with you. I mean, the physical decline had somewhat happened in his later years in San Francisco. A lot of his peripherals and his hard hit rate was declining. And then he was a free agent, and he took, honestly, I thought a little bit below what he maybe could have gotten to play for the Diamondbacks because he has like a horse ranch out there. So it was pretty clear that this was a guy who said, hey, I've won 3 World Series. I'm already an absolute postseason legend. He's going to be, if not a Hall of Famer, in the conversation, despite his lack of maybe regular season production, just based off of the fact that he's one of the greatest postseason pitchers ever.
Yeah.
And he wants to just put his feet up and kind of relax with, the Diamondbacks as they battle it out between them and the Rockies for third place in the West. But you know what? I respect it. I can't knock him. Like, usually we say athletes, oh, you should want to try and win, do whatever you can. Like, if there's any guy who can put his feet up and say, nah, I'm good, guys, it's Madison Bumgarner.
Oh yeah, and he was a workhorse for all those years with the Giants, and he was honestly one of the better pitchers in the league for a long time. I mean, Nick, you remember last year I was such a big proponent of the Yankees trading for him. I'm like, I want Bumgarner, and even this all season I wanted him bad, just because when you get a chance to get a legend, I don't think you say no to that. I guess that's why I'm not a general manager, because I would have done exactly what the Arizona Diamondbacks did and signed him, and he was arguably the worst player in the league this year. So kudos to the 32 MLB teams for not hiring me as a general manager.
There's 30.
Madison Bumgarner.
But the next two.
I said 32.
The expansion teams confirmed not signing you as the GM.
Yeah. We have a lot of inside sources. There's 2 teams coming in the next 40 years.
Yeah, one in Nashville and one in
Boston. Yeah, they're doubling down in Boston.
Wow. Crazy. Salem, actually.
Salem. Yeah, just outside of Boston, 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
Great
right.
idea.
Yeah,
moving on to the next award, the bat flip of the year. I mean, not a contest. Cody Bellinger, Game 7. I mean, that thing when his bat flip almost went farther than the ball.
It was just like an unbelievable moment. Like, you can't be swaggier than Cody Bellinger was in that moment with the bat flip. I mean, listen, if you're gonna separate your shoulder on a celebration, you know that you just hit a big home run, and he pimped the shit out of that thing.
Yeah, how about that he got hurt on the play and no one was even mad because it was such a cool play, and it was a big home run, all that stuff. But it was a cooler bat flip that more than it was a big home run.
I know. It also only gave them a 1-run lead, but it was I don't think the home run ended the game. I think the bat flip did, because you can recover from the home run, but a good bat flip like that, I'm sorry, your season's over. It's just
that's an X. That's an X. That's done.
100%.
So I think those were all the awards we wanted to cover.
No, I actually had one more, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
This is a special award. It's coming from a place deep in my heart. It truly is, and I say this not sarcastically at all, one of my favorite moments in sports that I can remember in the past 10, 15 years, just because of how fucking funny it was. So this 2020 award for the homophobic slur on a hot mic and subsequent apology that was interrupted by a home run of the year is going to my man, Tom Brenneman.
I can't tell you how much I say from the bottom of my heart. I'm so very, very sorry. I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox.
I've got the shirt on right now. I don't know if you can read it on YouTube. I designed it myself. A deep drive to left. It sold one shirt. I was the only person that bought it. So this is a 1 of 1. They shipped me the wrong size, double XL. It's fine. It's my favorite shirt that I own. It's the greatest moment ever. I totally disavow what he said. Anyone making fun of anybody for their sexual orientation is a bad person, but the apology is what makes it one of the greatest moments in sports history, at least from a comedy standpoint, because the absolute balls on that man to, granted, he has to make the apology on air, and he's clearly trying to save his career, kiss up to his
the
boss.
apology didn't take the balls. Yeah.
To call the home run by Nick Castellanos in the 5th inning of a meaningless Reds-Royals game is one of the most unbelievable decisions I've seen in my entire life. Throw out Kevin Cash taking out Blake Snell. Throw out Devi Garcia pitching 1 inning. The most insane decision you saw in baseball this year was Tom Brenneman calling Nick Castellanos' home run in the middle of trying to save his career. So props to you, Tom. You are an absolute madman.
Yeah, I think that was a much needed moment. I'm glad we didn't forget that, because that was the moment of the year. I don't care about the Dodgers winning. That was the moment of the year.
Yeah, that was
right.
World Series right there.
I think that's all the awards we wanted to cover. So tune in next week for the next episode of Last Take. And comment any thoughts, anybody you thought we might have missed, or any awards you want us to do again for next week.
Smash that subscribe button, please. We have like 2 right now. We need 100 before we start making money. So
the goal by the end of the week is 4.
I will Venmo anyone who subscribes $1.
Yeah, we'll pay you. You will pay for subscribers.
I'll pay you. Whatever we make from ads, I'll give it right back to you.
Yeah.
Probably not. But if you want,
no, we wouldn't do that. No. All right.
DM me on Twitter. I'll Venmo you $1. Fair. If you can prove you subscribe to this page.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna need something mailed to my house, but I'm gonna tell you a different address.
Yeah, I'm gonna need your social security number and the street you grew up on and your mother's maiden name. And
any typical security questions that you use.
Yeah, what was the name of your first pet growing up?
Yeah.
Send that over to me and I'll Venmo you $1.
All right.
All right, bye guys.
All right, bye.